Hello again, my name is David Watson, Lenovo Press, and today we're going to be talking about the ThinkSystem SR650 V2. This is our new 2-socket, 2U server featuring the 3rd generation Intel Xeon scalable processors. And I have with me today Russ Resnick. Russ is the worldwide segment manager for 1 and 2 socket rack and tower servers. How you doing, Russ?
Hi, David. Good day. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So, Russ, this is our new our mainstream system, 2-socket 2U. It's a follow-on to our existing ThinkSystem SR650. What sort of customer would use this system? What applications?
Well, this server is really meant for a lot of different customers. You know, it's a very highly configurable, flexible server, and with the 2U form factor, there's a lot of different configurations you can build with it, whether it be GPU rich, storage rich, compute rich. So it appeals to a lot of different customers running a lot of different workloads.
Yeah. So we're going to go in this video. We're going to go through all the components. We're going to start at the front, talk about the storage options, and look at the back, and then see what's inside as well. Does that sound good, Russ?
Sounds great. Let's get started.
Yep. So let me start on the far side here. On the left here, the front is the usual array of operator controls. We have the power button, LEDs for system log and error and network activity, 2 USB ports, USB 3.1, Gen 1, and a USB 2. Russ, the interesting thing on the USB 2 is that it supports the xClarity mobile interface, right?
That's right. So for a customer who's got a tablet or a phone running the xClarity mobile app, you can plug into that port and talk to the xClarity controller to get status, alerts, understand if there's failed components, which ones they are.
Yes. Now we also have this new feature, the external diagnostic handset, which plugs into a port at the front here. What sort of customer would use that? I say the port is actually on this side. What sort of customer would use this system, this component, rather than xClarity Mobile?
So for customers who are in data centers that don't allow phones or tablets into the data center, this external handset allows the servicer or the customer to talk to the xClarity controller and understand status once again, understand what IP addresses are set, and it's really helpful to reduce downtime if in the event the server has some kind of issue.
Yes. Now, the advantage of this, of course, is that it plugs in externally, and you can share this with multiple systems. In fact, you can share it with a whole rack of servers or even a whole row of servers if you want to. And it has a magnet on the back, so it's easy just to attach to the side of one of your rack cabinets just to get out of the way, and then have easy access to it. Now, Russ, if you don't want to use that, we have a third choice, right? This is the integrated LCD display, right?
Right. So what we've done is the integrated LCD display was packaged into that handset. But in the event where if the server's not in an environment where there's a lot of servers and you want to share the handset, in a standalone case, this panel can be part of the server itself.
Yeah. And it takes the space of some of the drive bays, 8 of the 2.5-inch drive bays here. So that's an option for some of the configuration. This is a pre-production component. That's why the mechanical's a little bit loose there. But yes, so this is another choice there. Quite a lot of choices for local management with all these components. Now, Russ, the big feature, of course, in the front of this system is all the drive bays. This particular configuration is 24 of the 2.5-inch hot swap drives. Now, Russ, this can be SAS SATA or AnyBay or NVMe, right?
That's correct. And then we also support 12 3.5-inch drive bays.
Yes, indeed.
3.5-inch drive bays.
Yes. In fact, as we'll point out, you can actually have up to 40 2.5-inch drives with drives in the middle and in the rear, or up to 20 of the 3.5-inch drives if you want to.
Yeah, that's right. What we found is customers want to add more local storage to these servers as they run, say, hyperconverged workloads or running cold storage workloads on these servers. They really want more storage capability in the server, and that's why these servers do support such a large number of drives.
Yeah, and you can mix and match these. There's a lot of configuration choices. So you can mix of SAS SATA drives and NVMe, for example, or in the 3.5 form factor, you can have hard drives for for one tier of storage, and then NVMe for the hot data, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen customers who put 12 3.5-inch drives in the front, for example, and then in those middle bays, they'll put NVMe drives
Yes.
for, say, cache tiers.
Yes. Now let's talk about those middle drives too. I would point out that if you're familiar with our SR650, then the mechanical of this server is very similar to that, so you may recognize a lot of the components. The mid drives are accessible really quite easily. It's a hot swap capability. Simply lifting this handle gives you access to the drives that are in the middle of the server on top of the processors and memory. In this case, we have 8 2.5-inch drives. Russ, these are a SAS, SATA, or NVMe, is that right?
NVMe,
yep.
That's correct. You can have 8 NVMe drives there, or you can have 8 SAS SATA.
Yes. Now,
and then there's also a 3.5-inch.
Right. So what I have here,
bay assembly as well.
Exactly, yes. So this is a variation of the mid-drive bays that goes just so there. The same mechanism to lift up for hot swap access.
Right, and that's 4 of the 3.5-inch
Right.
drives.
Yes. So that's another choice that's available to the system. Now let me turn it around and show you the rear drive bay configurations. This system, by default, has this configuration has got all slots,
which are now 8 slots.
Yep.
We support 8 slots in the rear of this system,
Yes.
plus the OCP slot.
Yes, but what we're going to talk about is the drive bay choices. So there are a lot of rear-facing hot swap drive bays, and I've got the different configurations here. So you can see, for a start, we've got a choice of 4 2.5-inch drives, and they can go in this position here. So that's one choice, or 8 2.5-inch drives, and they go like so. And you can see that this takes up some of the slots in the back. So you choose which configurations you want depending on the application needs. And then if I just move these out of the way, and then if you're doing the 3.5-inch form factor, then we have 2 3.5-inch drive choices, or the larger 4 2.5-inch drive, and they span the full width of it. So you can see, for example, when I have the 4 by 2.5, that sits like so, and so it consumes the top 2 slots along here, but we still have additional slots at the bottom if we need to. So those are all the yeah, Ross?
Right, I was going to say we also support these a pair of 7mm rear-facing boot drives as well.
Right, right. Yeah, so let me point those out. This particular configuration has the space. One of the slots is taken up by this bay here, and this is in fact the area where you can put 2 7mm drives. So these are hot swap drives, and you would use these for operating system boot functions, right?
That's right. These drives have been integrated into the system, so they're best used as boot drives.
Yeah. Of course, this configuration, unfortunately, we don't have the drives to show you, but they are hot swap drives, so the usual mechanism. They're like the usual 2.5-inch drives, just only 7mm height rather than 15mm height. But they go in that slot there, and they can be either NVMe or SATA, I think that's right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
SATA or NVMe.
Yeah, so the 7mm drives are a good alternative to the internal M.2 adapters. The server still offers that for boot, but if you want a hot swap capability, the 7mm is a good choice for that.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, in terms of slots, Russ, what do we got?
So this server's got 8 slots.
Yep.
And it'll support up to 3 double-wide GPUs, or
Yes.
up to 8 of the single-wide GPUs.
Yes, right. So, for example, the A100 GPU from NVIDIA is a double wide, and we support 3 of those, or the NVIDIA T4, for example. You could fit 8 of those across all the system. All the slots are PCIe Gen 4.
That's right.
So high-speed I/O. Of course, we support a wide range of other adapters as well. Networking,
Right.
fiber
And then,
channel.
of course, there's the OCP slot
Yes.
for networking, which is also PCI Gen 4.
Yeah, so this one here, it comes in this slot here. It's easy access through a thumb screw, just pulls out. Regardless of what configuration you have in terms of drives and slots, this slot is also available. This one is a 4-port gigabit OCP, but the server also supports 10 gig or 25 gig Ethernet. So these are all choices available to you as well. Also at the back while we're here, there's a Ethernet port for remote management. That's to access the xClarity controller remotely.
Right.
Yep. 3 USB 3.1 slots, 3.1 Gen 1 These are the 5 gigabit ports, a VGA port. And then on this side we have 2 hot swap power supplies. This system of course has the 750s, you can see there, but the server supports up to 4 configurations, right Russ? There's the 500, 750, 1100 and 1800, right?
That's right.
Yep. And for our telco customers, the system also supports a minus 48 volt DC 1100 watt power supply as well. So that's also an option too. If you want to deploy these in your COs, that's a choice. All right, so that's the rear of the system. Let's talk about the internals, Russ.
Yeah, so if we, this server now supports the 3rd generation of the Xeon Scalable processor.
Yep.
So this is up to 275 watts per socket, 8 memory channels per socket, or 16 DIMMs per socket, or 32 DIMMs in the system.
Yes.
As you can see, the heat sinks with radiators,
yes,
are now used to cool the system, along with the other items in the server, like the GPUs or the NVMe drives that draw a lot of power.
I would point out that this particular configuration shows those high performance heat sinks. The standard processors have the standard heat sink goes on top of the processor, and they are connected to these larger radiators that sit right behind the fans, and they are to maximize the cooling capability of those heat sinks, and to cool the CPUs. I mean, these are up to 270 watt TDP, so they can run very, very hot. You'll notice
the other thing you'll notice up front there is now we have a intrusion switch.
Yes.
So the management controller can understand if someone's removed the top cover from the system.
Yes.
Remotely, and send an alert.
Yes, and I would add that for in terms of physical security measures, there is the intrusion switch here, but the server also supports a bezel on the front, a security bezel,
lockable security bezel,
to lock the drives from access. Yeah. But you notice I didn't point out as we were talking about the CPUs, the mid drive bay simply rolls away like that. So for easy access to the DIMMs and processors for servicing, that's really quite a good feature. That, yeah. I would also add too that the mid drive cage also supports the M.2 adapter. We talked about the 7mm, but 7mm hot swap drives. But if you use M.2, it's located on the mid drive bays. If you have the 3.5-inch version, then it also goes on the top of that as well. And if you don't have the mid drive bays, if you, for example, it's a GPU system where you don't have the middle drives, then instead you would have this air baffle, and the air baffle is where the M.2 is mounted in this space here. The air baffle also has space for supercaps as well, and then these indentations are where the GPUs can get mounted. So that's an option for GPU-rich systems. Now, also I can point out, Russ, at the front of the system, in front of the fans, we have the new form factor of RAID card. This is the compact form factor. It's an internal adapter that's cabled rather than goes into a PCIe slot. Russ, why would you want to do that?
Well, in the event that you've got all the slots filled,
yep,
and you still need a RAID card for the drives,
yes,
we wanted to make sure that there's still the ability to do that, so that you don't have to lose a slot for the RAID card.
Yes,
since, there's no dedicated RAID card slot on the motherboard any longer. It's now mounted in the front there.
Yeah.
Now this is only for the 2.5-inch drives.
Right. There is not the space when the 3.5-inch drives are installed because they're so deep. Yeah.
Right.
Now next to that is an open space in this particular server, but there is a space there for an expander, SAS expander. So in the event that you're using a high drive count SAS SATA configuration, and you want to drive those off one RAID card for the purposes of larger single arrays, single volumes, then an internal SAS card is mounted there, again not consuming a slot, and the two cards then connect together and connect to all the drives in the system. So that's a convenient way of having 40 drives, for example, on one system.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think that's about it, Russ. It's a very, very well designed system. You can see we're basically using up just about every bit of open space there is in the system. Very well designed for thermals. There aren't that many limitations regarding the high-end processors because of the good thermal management with the heat sinks and the fans. So yeah, very good.
I think the key is that we've designed a very configurable, flexible server for a variety of workloads, since customers are looking for a standardized server
Yes.
to do various workloads.
Yes, very flexible. Yes.
Yeah, and if you have more detailed questions, there is the Lenovo Press product guide for this server.
Yep. Yep.
And then if you have further detailed questions, you can certainly talk to your local Lenovo seller or business partner.
Yeah. I'll put the link to the product guide in the description for the video, so you'll have access to that too. Yeah. So there you go. This is the ThinkSystem SR650 V2. This is our new 2U 2-socket system featuring the third generation Intel Xeon Scalable processors. Russ, thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. Hope you found the video useful, and we'll see you later. Bye.